All right. All right. I think we're live now. I think we are live now. So let me get disclaimers out of the way. Then we'll get into it here. This is a weekly live broadcast, generally Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. This is where I'm at. If you have questions, you've been leaving comments on videos, haven't been getting responses. I apologize for that because I haven't been good about answering comments for a while now. I'm sorry. Just life gets in the way. I've been busy and it's just hard to keep up with all that stuff. So if you do have questions, this is a good place to get them answered because I do my best on these live broadcasts to respond to every comment or every chat that comes in during the live broadcast itself. Not the comments left on the video afterwards necessarily, but the ones that come in on the live broadcast. So you can join us here Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. Most of the time I'm here. Sometimes things get in the way and I can't make it, but most of the time I'm here. The only thing, this is Ask Me Anything. Anything you want to talk about, we can talk about for the most part. Just keep it family friendly, be polite, don't be hateful. I say this every time. We can disagree with people. We can have disagreements, but we can still get along, still be friends, and that's what we ask. Don't start cussing anybody. Don't be rude. Don't any of that kind of stuff. We'll have to kick you out. So look at that. We're starting off with a $3 super chat from Washington Central. He says, hello from Central Washington. Good to see you. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for joining. We got Kentucky Green Thumb here, emergency prep guy. Chris P. from humid South Carolina. Yeah, we haven't had, our humidity hasn't been that bad. It's up a little bit today. We're at about 55%, something like that. We had a little bit of rain. Just a little bit of rain today. More in the forecast, though. Hey, there's Washington Central with praise God. I absolutely agree. Praise God indeed. Marty from West Virginia, good to see you. And let's see, Pacific Northwest Outdoors says, have you ever had a quail eat eggs and what to do if so? Boy, that's a good question. I don't know that I've ever had my quail get to where they're eating eggs. Now, every great once in a while, I find an egg that, it could have been eaten by a quail. I don't know. It's flattened out. It's, the shell's busted and the egg's gone. Whether that was eaten by a quail, whether it got broken somehow or another, whether it was soft shell, there's no telling. If you're having a big problem with the quail eating eggs, if they're starting to eat eggs, then that could point to a protein deficiency. So check your feed, make sure that it's got at least, I would say at least an 18-19% protein in it. I like to go much higher than that, but 18-19% should be enough protein in there. So that shouldn't be a big issue. The other thing you can do is, make sure you're collecting the eggs as soon as you can. Oh, pardon me. Oh, just got taken over by yawns all of a sudden. I'm not really that tired, but anyway, collect the eggs as soon as you can from the time that they're, the time they're laid. There we go. I got off track a little bit there. Sorry. And, it's a little bit tricky sometimes to get them to break some of those habits. If you can find some small, check a craft store for some small eggs, like ceramic eggs that are about the size of quail eggs. You can actually, I think, you might be able to buy quail egg replicas online, and you can put those in the cage. That should help break them from eating their eggs because they'll start pecking at those and they can't break those. So that'll give them kind of an idea that, hey, maybe those aren't good to eat, and that should help with that. So those are a couple of ideas with that. Hopefully it's just a one-time thing or just something that maybe just happens occasionally that, like I said, they may not even be eating them if it's just that. It may just be that, because every once in a while you get weird eggs. You get eggs that are have no shell on them. You get eggs that have a really soft shell for whatever. It's just normal. It's just part of birds laying. Every once in a while they lay a weird egg. And that may be all that it is. But if it's a really regular occurrence, then yeah, you probably do need to take some further action on it. All right, Jesse, good evening from Iowa. Good to see you, Jesse. Thanks for joining us. And Toast Why Not says, hello from North Carolina. Good to see you too. Jammin' Mike, good to see you. Hey, there's Kyle Randall. We haven't seen each other in a while, huh? Says, hey, Chris, been a long time. Hope all is well. It is. Hopefully all is well for you guys too. Yeah, I haven't talked to you guys in a while. We'll have to get together sometime. But Missy says, or Miss Kitty in Utah, good to see you. Lion Soul Homestead from Wisconsin. Katrina Krakow from Gilroy, California. And Dave from Black Country, UK. I'm not sure exactly where that is, but thanks for joining. And then we got Sandra from Toronto, Canada, says, first time here, love your channel. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching the videos. Thanks for joining the live broadcast with us, too. Welcome here, and congratulations on the first time, I guess. I don't know exactly how to respond to that, but thanks for joining. Alicia says, tips breeding a small buck to a large doe. My new junior standard Rex buck is I'm pretty sure is a mini Rex because he just isn't growing out, but he's got a lot of good genetic traits other than size. Okay, so, and it says my does are French Lops and Flemish Giants. Yeah, that's a little odd, huh? Well, I mean, it's pretty much the same as breeding anything. I mean, well, any other rabbit, I should say. Take the doe to the buck, watch him closely, make sure the doe's not, beating the buck up. Chances are he's going to do his best to mount, and if the doe will lift for him, then there should be no problems with the breeding. I mean, it's not really any different than trying to breed any other doe to any other buck. I mean, there may be it's probably going to look kind of funny, be a little odd. I'm not sure what kind of results you get from it, but I mean, just like take the doe to the buck, leave her in there for 10 minutes or so, watch him pretty closely, make sure that, chances are he's going to go after her pretty quick as soon as she's put in the cage, and he's going to try to mount. So, if he's not successful in 10, 15 minutes, take her out, put her back in her cage, try again. I mean, it's just the same way as you do every other rabbit. So if you need further instructions on that, then let me know. But I mean, that hopefully that kind of answers it for you. Bunker Crane says, hey, mate from Australia, good to see you, Bunker. Thanks for joining. And Raphael says, let's see, I was here a few weeks ago and my rabbit doe was set to have babies on the 27th, but she didn't. She adjusted the nest a bit and today took fur off, but she is 1 day late and the fur is on the wire. Okay, so I'm guessing you're asking, she's 1 day late, she hasn't had her babies yet. 1 day, I wouldn't stress about that. That's not abnormal at all. Some rabbits take a little bit longer. Some of them, I mean, it's just a little bit different with every rabbit. Most of the time, my rabbits don't pull any fur until after they've had their babies, but some pull it before. What I would do is gather that fur up, watch her pretty close for the next day or two, because chances are she's going to have them any time now, and you want to make sure if she has them on the wire floor that you get them picked up, put in the nest box as soon as possible. They won't last long out on the wire floor. Don't worry about handling them. I mean, as soon as they're born, as soon as she's done having them, you can pick them up, put them in the nest box, and she should take care of them. Then you can put that fur over the top of them. What you don't want to have happen is to lose all that fur necessarily. So that's what I would do. Just keep a really close eye on her, especially check, right before you go to bed, as soon as you get up in the morning, maybe in the middle of the night, if you can get yourself up, just to check on them. It's kind of up to you how you want to do that, but I would keep a pretty close eye on her just to keep an eye on when those babies are born. All right. Let's see. Toast, why not? Let me grab a drink here. Says, hey, Chris, I've had a hen that keeps losing feathers on her chest area, and I'm pretty sure the others are not picking on her because they grew up together. Do you know how to solve this? Sounds like she's probably molting. That's pretty common behavior. I've got one that's got a bunch of feathers missing on its back. They're starting to grow back in. They'll grow back in. Give her couple of weeks. It takes usually about a week or two at least for the feathers to start growing back in. Make sure you've got a fairly high protein feed. They need a little extra protein whenever especially whenever they're regrowing feathers. So I would go, maybe something that make sure you're, maybe 25% or higher if you can, and see if that helps. You can add extra protein to the feed if you need to by mixing in some like catfish food or something like that that's a really high protein. But chances are you can just buy a higher protein feed and feed it to them for the time frame if you don't have a high protein feed already. But it's probably nothing to worry about. But that's more than likely what it is molting. All right. Oh, excuse me. I got to yawn again. Oh, I must be tired. Didn't even know it. Let's see. Hollow Demore. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. Says watching from Australia while walking through canola fields. Interesting. Canola fields in Australia, huh? Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. KA says, hey, from the desert from Dorset. I read that completely wrong. From Dorset. Is it Dorset? Dorset? I don't. In the UK, it says, I haven't put my male quail in with my female quail because they were so aggressive the first time I tried, but I wanted to introduce 4 male quail to my 21 girls, all 8 weeks old. So I'm guessing if you're asking about is how do you do that without them getting beaten up? Yeah, good luck. I mean, that's tricky, especially in the middle of breeding season. It's really, really hard to do. They're a little bit calmer if you can get them out of that breeding season. So you could try, I don't know if they're inside in a garage, if they're outside. If they're outside, it's going to be tricky to do. But if they're inside, just reduce the amount of light, get it down to under 14 hours a day. probably down closer to about 8 hours a day. Wait till the hens stop laying eggs, give them about a week or whatever, and then you might be able to get them together. But also, if you have the ability to get them all in a brand new cage, introduce them together in a brand new cage. So it's not the cage the hens are in, it's not the cage the rooster's in, it's a brand new cage to both of them. And they're going to be less territorial in that area, and they're going to be much more likely to accept them. It can be a little tricky. It's always a little hard to combine, especially when you're talking 4 roosters with 21 hens. I mean, they're way outnumbered. So it could be a little bit tricky to do. But if you can get them to, get out of breeding mode or breeding season, however you want to say that, then you're going to have much better chances of being able to get them to combine together without being super aggressive with each other. So try both of those things and see how that works. Good luck. I hope it works out well. Chris, good to see you. Says, hey, how's it going, Haas? Good, I guess. Jesse, got our QuailCom talk ready. Oh, got your QuailCom talk ready. It's coming up quick. It is coming up quick. It's, I don't necessarily plan out my speeches word for word. I've got an idea of what I'm going to talk about, and then it's just going to go. I mean, I'm just going to go for it. That's kind of how I do most of my speeches. Sometimes I'll write an outline if it's a very complex topic that, maybe I need some reminders to make sure, and I may do that. But I mean, you guys probably can figure out I can talk. It's not a problem for me to talk. I don't mind doing it at all. So yeah, but I'm prepared. If that's what you're asking, I am prepared. Lee from Newton County, Missouri, just next door, huh? Yeah, I don't know. We're in Newton County. Newton County is literally, the county line is, let's see, about 15 blocks to the south. And that's the county line, Newton County line. So you could be really close. Anyway, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Raphael says, I watched her closely for a few hours and doesn't seem like she will be having babies today either. Maybe she wasn't pregnant at all. My buck had 2 fall-offs. This is about the rabbit that pulled the fur already. Yeah, don't trust that. You can't tell. I mean, most of my rabbits, they display, I mean, other than maybe some hay stashing and building their nest beforehand, once they're done with that, you can't tell that they're ready to have their babies. They just act normal. It's just normal behavior, and then all of a sudden there's babies there. So I wouldn't trust that. I would keep an eye on her either way. Give her, at least 3 or 4 days before you count her out. If she hasn't had them in, I'd say, another 5 days at the latest, then you could probably count she wasn't pregnant. Go ahead and rebreed her if you want to. Katrina says, I got into bird mites at work today. I got hundreds, thousands of them on me when I moved. I removed an inactive bird nest from the construction site. Nasty. Took off my outer layers and squished what I could see. I think there's more to that, isn't there? Used the hose on the water truck to wash them off with high pressure to get anything missed. Washed clothes right away. And when I got home, very thoroughly shower with Palmolive. Going to take my boyfriend to the animal going to have my boyfriend do the animal chores and egg collecting tonight. Yeah, I don't blame you. And then there's another question down there. I'm going to have to give me a second to get to that. Where did it go? Anything else I should do to avoid infecting my birds with them? It sounds like you pretty much got it under control. I don't know that I'd worry too much about it. If you took a shower, washed off real good, washed your clothes, all that kind of stuff, it sounds like you took some pretty good precautions. I don't know that I'd really worry about it too much. It's probably not a bad idea. Like you said, have him go out and handle the chores and kind of keep an eye and see if you find any more on you. Check your hair really well. You're probably going to think they're crawling all over you all the time just because you're conscious of that. I don't have any hair, so I don't have to worry about those things, but that's where you might have a hard time getting them out of. But it sounds like you pretty much did what you need to do, and I think you're probably going to be okay. Mike B says, is it possible to dispatch a rabbit while they are still in the cage with an air rifle or something similar? I feel apprehensive about taking them out and holding them while dispatching them. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I have tried to use an air rifle to dispatch rabbits before. And honestly, to me, it just does not seem like they go as quickly as they do with like a hopper popper type or a broomstick method of dispatching them. I find that just seems to be a little bit more humane to me. But I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be prepared that, it may not go quite as smooth as you think inside the cage. It's probably a little bit better if you can get the rabbit out. hold them steady, get a good clean, make sure you're doing it right between the top, X between the top of the ears, basically. Yeah, anyway, you get what I'm saying. That would be a little bit better, I think, than probably trying to do it in the cage. But do what you need to do. If you need to do it in the cage, do it. I get the idea of being a little bit apprehensive about getting them out. I mean, the first time I processed a rabbit by hand, I grew up hunting, fishing. I mean, I've skinned rabbits, cleaned rabbits my entire life, but I had never actually by hand dispatched one, and that was a little bit different. It's a different experience than shooting one on the run with a shotgun or something like that. So the first time I did that, I overthought it a little bit, and really it's not that difficult. I think you can. The only way you're gonna be able to get over it is just do it, is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying you have to do it. You can absolutely do it in the cage if you want to. So yeah, you can. Lion Soul Homestead said, it's been a while since I've watched your channel. Long work hours off the homestead. What breed or breeds do you suggest is the best meat rabbit? Oh boy, this is a common question. It comes up all the time. And first of all, shame on you for not watching. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. I don't keep track of who watches, who doesn't watch. I'm glad you came back in. We're good. We're glad to see you. Okay, so best meat rabbit breeds. There's a bunch of them out there that make good meat rabbits. I'm gonna forget one, but New Zealand whites, Californias, silver foxes, Florida whites are a little bit more compact, but they make a good meat rabbit as well. Even a standard Rex is a good meat rabbit. There's a reason why New Zealand white is probably the most common meat rabbit in the United States, is because it's a great breed for meat rabbits. They tend to produce large litters. They're good mothers. This isn't true of every rabbit, but in general, they're good mothers. They grow out fast. If you can try to get pedigree rabbits for your breeders, you can get two different breeds. In fact, it's not a bad idea. If all you're looking for is meat production, then you're not worried about producing future breeders. Then getting two different breeds, like a purebred, New Zealand white and a purebred California, and breed them together, because you get that hybrid vigor in that first level of the offspring that makes those rabbits, makes those just do a little bit better, really. And that is a real thing. And it could be anything. It could be a purebred California and a purebred silver fox, a purebred, New Zealand and a purebred standard reg. You get what I'm saying. There's a whole bunch of different breeds of meat rabbits out there. And honestly, all of them are pretty good. Now, you want to stay away from the pet breeds, the lops, the mini Rexes, the, hot tots. There's a whole bunch of those little pet breeds. Those aren't good meat rabbits, of course. They don't get big enough. It's not good. And I would stay away from Flemish Giant. I know I've got some viewers, I can't remember who it is, says they've had great luck with Flemish Giant. I have not. Anything that has Flemish Giant in it, around here it's pretty common to have New Zealand and Flemish Giant crosses. And, so those are the babies that are available. I've tried them before, and every single one of them, and maybe this is just my experience, but every single one of them I've tried, the babies grow out incredibly slow. Like usually with a good purebred New Zealand and a purebred, anything else, I can get baby rabbits to 5 pounds by 8 weeks. And with New Zealands that are crossbred, that are mixed with Flemish Giant, when they produce babies, it seems like it takes 12, 13, 14 weeks to get them to 5 pounds. They eat a whole lot more. So their bone to meat ratio is not the best either comparatively. So I stay away from Flemish Giant. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe other people have a different opinion, but that's my experience with Flemish Giant. I don't think they're good meat rabbits, but there's a whole bunch of other ones. It'd be easier probably for you to tell me, like, this is what rabbit I can get. Is that a good one? And, I can tell you whether it is or not. But chances are you're going to be able to find New Zealand whites or Californias, because those seem to be the most common, easiest to find. Silver fox is another one that's becoming a little bit more common, a little bit more popular. Those are all three great meat rabbit breeds. So you can't go wrong with any of them. Katrina says, use the hose on the water truck to wash them off with. Oh, I already read that, didn't I? Wash the clothes. Okay. I think I got that one answered. Alicia says, I think my main question about the big girls with the small boy is just the logistics. Like I feel like he needs a stool. LOL. Just not sure he's really physically able to grab on and get her. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I get it. And that may be an issue, but you won't know till you try. So, I mean, I can't tell you any other good. I mean, yeah, putting a stool in there is not going to work. I can tell you that. So I mean, if he can't physically do the job, you're just out of luck. I don't know of any other way to do that. I mean, aside from holding the female rabbits down and somehow that just all sounds like cruel and unusual to me, though. So I don't think I would do any of that. Don't know that you could get it done anyway that way, but I don't know if there's another solution. All right, 5G Homestead says, good day, sir, from the panhandle of Florida. I have rabbits, 4 does, $3. And my question is, our heat and humidity is high in Florida. Should I continue to wait until September to breed? Okay, let me tell you guys, some of you guys that live in like Florida and Texas and some of those places, you're not the only place that gets high heat and humidity, just to let you know. I'm just giving you a hard time because I did used to live in Texas and people would come out like, oh, I bet you wish you were back in Missouri today. And I'd be like, heck, it's hotter there than it is here. And they'd never believe me. I'd have to pull up the weather app and like, look, it's 10 degrees hotter or 5 degrees hotter. Oh, but you don't have the humidity. Yeah, it's 75% humidity. So anyway, I'm just giving you a hard time. Don't worry. I don't mean anything by that. Yeah, I would wait until a little bit later to breed. I mean, you can try it. I mean, if your rabbits are local, I mean, it's Florida. The difference there is you guys don't get super cold in the wintertime. So you can definitely try it. But I like to wait for a little bit cooler weather till the fall to breed. I think the heat is just really hard on them. So, yes, I would wait until, here it's more, yeah, probably late September or early October, somewhere right around in there is about whenever I start. Chris says, Chris P, is he reading something from other than YouTube chat? I don't know what you're asking me. I'm lost. Sorry. Did I miss some? I may have missed some chats. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm lost. You guys are talking to each other and I'm getting involved. Yeah, Katrina's got a good response to you, Chris, I think. Says he goes through the chats, I'm he. Says goes through the chat in order every once in a while. He'll miss a comment. So if you see something after your comment question that he is answering, just ask again. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Sometimes I miss one. I apologize when I do that. There's a lot of chat that comes in, and there's a whole lot. I've got a whole bunch that I haven't gotten to yet. You guys probably already asked like 2 or 3 minutes ago. So it seems like forever before I get to your chat. And it probably is in a lot of ways. But there's also a whole lot of chat where you're talking to each other. And I tend to skip all that stuff because you're talking to each other, which is fine. Doesn't bother me. But I don't feel like everybody else needs me to read your chat conversation with somebody else. Sometimes I'll catch something in there. I think, oh, everybody should hear that, but very seldom. Most of the time I skip it. Sometimes in doing that, I'll miss a comment. So yeah, if you see me answer a comment that comes in after yours, then go ahead and re-ask your question. Regenerative Life says, my quail hatched on the 22nd and the journey begins. Awesome. Congratulations and good luck. I'm sure everything's going to go great. SB Keith says, I accidentally left one of my quail cages open last night. When I went to feed them this morning, they were all still there. I've had a very similar experience. I went out to feed one morning and the quail hutch was just wide open. I thought, oh no. And I went over there, all of them still in the hutch, probably because it was nighttime, well, I went out pretty early in the morning. So, there's not a lot of light out and where are they going to go in the dark? They can't really see. So yeah, it worked. But Lee's Quails says, hello, one from Oklahoma. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Ian J. Dixon says, hello from Idaho. Any news on the lights or our refund? Yeah, I need to do that, don't I? I need to get the refund issued. I don't know if let me see. Let me pull that up so I don't forget. I just need to go ahead and issue a refund. I don't think that stuff's happening. Let me pull that up. There we go. I'll try to pull that up so I can follow up on that. Thank you for reminding me. No information on the lights yet. It's just what a disappointing experience that has been. I'll ask them again, but I don't think it's coming. Let's see. Toast Why Not says, thank you for helping with this. I didn't know chickens could molt. Oh yeah, chickens. I thought you were talking about quail, but yeah, chickens can molt too. It happens. Bunker Crane says, just wondering about free ranging quail. Would it be disruptive if I move my girls and a male into a cage for a week of breeding and egg collecting? It not necessarily. Well, you're talking about what you want to free range them and then you want to catch them and put them in a cage for a week to collect the eggs for breeding. I don't know. That's a lot for me to wrap my head around. I don't know how well that would work, and for a couple of reasons. One is I don't know that you could successfully free range them at all. Everything's going to want to eat your quail. I don't think they'd last trying to free range them. I don't think it's going to work, but you could try it out and see. You can prove me wrong. The other thing about that is that if you do have them free ranging, chances are they're already breeding, so you don't need to worry about collecting them to put them in a cage to breed. They're probably already breeding. The other thing is going to be, though, is that if you catch them, collect them up, and put them in a cage, that's going to stress them out, and they're going to stop laying eggs after just a day or two. You're only going to get the eggs that are already in their system, getting ready to be laid. That's all you're going to get out of them, and then they're going to stop for probably about a week and a half. So I just don't know that plan works all that well. But I don't have a good solution for that one. But you could try it. See, I may be wrong. Let's see, who's this? This is a hard name. Holodomor, I think it is. Do you recommend keeping different age quails, example 6 weeks, and older ones apart, or is it okay to mix them once they're old enough to get away from the heat source, etc.? No, I don't know that I recommend one way or the other. It's definitely okay to just mix them up. That's what I typically do. I just throw my new ones in like 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old when they're fully feathered out. They just go in the hutch with the old ones and grow up, and I don't even know which ones are which. All right, B-Tech Wind Solar says, we enjoyed a barbecue rabbit the other day. First one, 8 pounds live weight, 6 pounds dress. It's a pretty good sized rabbit. Hopefully it was good. All right. Chris says, I'm building separate pens, but I don't know for sure. I don't know what for sure. It's probably a question somebody asked you, and I didn't read, so I don't know. I don't know what you're answering. Katrina says, thanks, Chris. I pretty much got into poison oak approach to handle the mites. I've never gotten into them before. It was terrible. Yeah, I can imagine. Mites of any kind, just not good. And I don't know that I've ever gotten into mites, but I've gotten chiggers plenty of times and some of those kinds of things. And yeah, they're never any fun to get rid of. B-Tech Wind Solar. I marinated it with Greek feta dressing for 36 hours, and it was the best tasting meat I've ever had. Really? Or best tasting meat I've had. Even better than lamb. I'm blown away by my sons said you can't compare it to wild rabbit that's gamey. Yeah, it is different than wild rabbit for sure. Wild rabbit it can be what they call gamey, but it's also a darker meat. Domestic rabbit's more of a whiter meat, and it really takes on whatever you flavor it with. It needs a lot of seasoning, a lot of flavor added to it, because on its own, it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. So yeah, I think you did the right thing. Sounds good. KA says, hey, from Dorset, I think Dorset maybe. Thank you so much for your help. They were all the same hatch, but they just went crazy when the hormones kicked up in. So I separated them, and now I can't get them back together. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That happens a lot. A lot of times they do kind of go a little bit nutty whenever the hormones kick in, but they'll usually calm down after a couple of days. The problem you're going to have you already know. The problem you have by separating them is you can't ever get them back together again after that. That's tricky. Again, if you wait till, they give them a little bit while to age, wait till they're not in the breeding season anymore, you're going to have a lot better luck, and try it in a neutral cage that's neutral to them, not the same cage they've been living in. You can, I forget, Zach from My Shire Farm did make some suggestions one time on being able to combine new quail together, is take them out of their hutch, put them in a holding pen for an hour or two, and then put them all back in their hutch with the new birds. And he says that works. I haven't tried that, actually. I've always tried neutral area for them. But that might work for you too. That may be something to try. All right. Helen says, Hey, from Australia, I have been having issues with my new hutches dying after they're 5 to 7 days old. I just checked one and its liver was yellow. Any ideas what that is? I have disinfected it all. That sounds like I don't know about his liver being yellow. Could that be? I mean, there's a couple things to come to mind. The first thing is going to be coccidiosis because that's just the most common thing when you hear about liver problems. But it could be a fatty liver, but I wouldn't think that would happen in a 5 day old bird. Poultry. There we go. Let's see what they're saying here. Now they're saying indicates a fatty liver, but you're talking about a 5 day old bird. That doesn't make sense. A fatty liver issue right there. Could be some kind of genetic issue. Or it depends, of course, on how long the bird was dead, too. I mean, if you dissected it and, but it'd been around for a while, I mean, been laying there for a while, that could affect it as well. You might try some medicated feed, see if that helps. You got me kind of stumped with that one. I don't really have a great answer for you. Make sure, they're not dying from something else. They're not getting into the water. They're not, the way you say I've been having issues with my new hatches makes me think you've hatched before you kind of know what you're doing. So it's probably not going to be something simple like that. It's probably a little bit more complex. It does sound like some kind of, parasite, some kind of disease, something like that. I just can't tell you exactly which one it is. Coccidiosis would be the one I would think about because that seems to be the most common. So some medicated feed might be in order to try to get your birds a little bit older. Unfortunately, once you have coccidiosis, it's kind of almost impossible to get rid of. But then again, it's usually not a huge issue in the sense that most, like your older birds and things like that, as long as they're not overly infested, coccidiosis is a parasite. So as long as they're not overly infested with it, they can usually live with it. It's not a huge issue. It's your young birds that have a hard time. So that's where the medicated feed can kind of help with that. That would be my suggestion, maybe to look into and see if that helps. Lion Soul Homestead says you have great info and always have nice. We have Rex and they do okay. We also want the nice pelt. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Says I have one Flemish giant girl. Oh, I have one Flemish giant girl bred to a Rex. Interesting. That might be interesting to see how it turns out. Yeah, you're right. With the Rex rabbits, you get that very nice pelt. So that is one thing. Rex can almost be a dual purpose in a sense. That you get a meat and you get the really nice pelt. There's not much, as far as rabbit pelts go, not much better than a Rex. Salvador. Hey, Chris. Good. Well, hey, Salvador. Good to see you. Let's see. Katrina said I sold most of the babies from the last hatch from my 3 does. Oh, wait. The last batch from my 3 does. Everyone has told me they are super big and super tender and yummy and the best rabbit they've ever had. Also, awesome. Goes on to say, including someone who lived in France and ate them there. Dad is California and moms are Black New Zealand and 2 of their daughters. I ice bath for 3 days to let them go through rigor mortis fully. That's probably the key right there. If you and that's, I think a lot of times where we see like wild game, we think of it as being gamey. It's probably because we didn't rest the meat. I mean, most of us that, maybe that we bought most of our meat from grocery stores. If you shoot an animal and then you clean it and then you put it right in the freezer, it's going to be tough and it's going to be kind of gamey. It's not going to be as good as if you were to let it rest and let rigor mortis leave the meat. Different animals take different amounts of time. Rabbits, I usually go for 2 or 3 days. Like you said, I like to dry age, but you could definitely do it in an ice bath if you want to. I just put mine in the refrigerator in a bowl and just lightly covered so that, it keeps them from getting things on them. And just until the rigor mortis leaves, till they're no longer real stiff. And then that makes a big difference. And it doesn't matter whatever. I mean, quail the same way, chickens the same way, deer the same way, cow. I mean, everything. It needs to rest before you freeze it or use it, or otherwise you're not going to have the best results. Lion Soul Homestead says, how are we doing on time? Oh yeah, we're doing good on time. We got like 25 minutes. Lion Soul Homestead says, we have those breeds around here, but figured I'd ask before I possibly look next year or so. Yeah, no problem. Good luck with, your search if you're looking for new ones. Sage Wolf says, is Quick Stop styptic powder for stopping Bleeding okay. This stuff has benzocaine for pain relief, safe to use on quail. The box does say birds on it. Really? Let me look that one up because most pain relievers are toxic to birds. Benzocaine, though, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it exactly. Yeah. No, I'm reading everything I'm reading says no, do not use it. Anything that ends any painkiller. This is what I thought. Any painkiller that ends in cane, like or teen, TINE, like Bactine, Novocaine, lidocaine, benzocaine, can be harmful or fatal to your birds. So I would stay away from that. If you need, like, you're talking about styptic powder to like stop bleeding, to clot bleeding or something like that, cornstarch works. You should be able to use that. Most of the time, I mean, I don't ever have a problem. I mean, the bird starts to bleed a little bit. It usually clots up and quits pretty quick. So I don't know that you'll need it either. But yeah, I would stay away from anything that has pain reliever in it. It's almost always, it can be toxic to your birds. All right. Spirit Mouse Media says, I'm in the process of creating windows and vents on the shed that I'm going to keep my rabbits in. Well, hopefully that goes well, and that's probably a good idea. Definitely need some ventilation. Ashley Smith says, so glad I found your channel. Can I feed 3-week-old quail these start and grow Purina crumbles, poultry crumbles? Yeah, you can. Let me look those up real quick. Wait. Let me see what is in it. Purina. Start and grow crumble. All right, so that's Purina. Let me look at back what you said. Purina, start and grow crumbles. Yes, you could feed that to your birds. That's really more for chicken, so it's probably a lower protein, I think, than I would like. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the protein. It's also a medicated feed, which is not necessarily a terrible thing. There's a lot of people out there that'll tell you, oh, don't use medicated feed. Don't eat the eggs if they're on medicated feed. That's not really an issue. The medicated feed is just antibiotic basically that helps with coccidiosis. But at the same time, I would stay away from medicated feed if I could. This is a little low protein. It's only 18% protein, and it looks like I don't even see there's a calcium. 0.75% calcium to 1.25% max. I think I'd look for a turkey starter or a game bird starter myself and stay away from that one. That's not, I mean, they'll do okay. You can definitely feed it to them if that's all you can get. But if you can find a turkey starter or a game bird starter, that's going to be a little bit better. What I would look for in baby quail, I like to use a 25% or higher, protein. But really, honestly, if you can get in the 24, 23, definitely higher than 20%, though. You're going to be okay. And the calcium levels somewhere around 1.5% would be the best. So that's what I would stick with, and that's what I would go with if you can find it. All right. Chris says, I'm getting nailed by mosquitoes. Y'all have a wonderful night and a better tomorrow. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's the one good thing about being in a drought. We haven't had a huge mosquito problem right now. Katrina says, chiggers are also terrible. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're really bad. All right, Raphael says, I found ants nesting on top of my doe's cage. Is it safe to exterminate the ants? And when she is about to have babies, I don't want to accidentally poison them. Well, it depends on what you're going to use and how you're going to do that as to whether it's safe or not. So I would, all this talk about chiggers and mites makes me itch. Not really. I just had an itch. I would use something like a taro ant poison, and it's not like something you're going to spray all broad. Like I wouldn't spray any kind of pesticides, around my rabbits. I would use more like a bait station type bait, where the ants will go into it, carry it back to their nest. And taro works really, really well, especially if they're like sugar ants that are attracted to sweet things, which most are. You can also use, you can make your own ant bait, sugar and what's washing soda? What's the name for washing soda? I I can't remember the name. I can't. What's the name? The common thing that you use to kill ants. I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden. Somebody's going to get it for us here in a minute. They'll know what I'm talking about. It's one of those brain blocks. But anyway, you mix equal parts of that. Here, I just got to look it up. I got to know. I can't help it. No, it's vinegar and water. That's not what I want. Oh, these people are boric acid. There we go. Boric acid, which is not really washing soda. I don't know why I was going with washing soda. That's something else. Boric acid. That's what you want. Mix that with sugar and a little bit of water. Make a paste out of it, and then set it out for the ants. They'll eat that. But honestly, taro is the way to go, in my opinion. Works great for taking care of ants. Hey, Blessed with Pets says can't stay, but hey, hello to you too. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. We got Lyle with electric PSP. Wait, it says electric PSP will take care of all your bug problems. It's pricey, 1 tablespoon to a gallon. It goes a long way and well worth the money. Elector PSP. I don't know what that is. Sounds like a broad spectrum pesticide though, and I kind of like to stay away from those. Unless you're talking about just like on your body, personal use. I don't know if that's what it's for or not. I don't like to use broad spectrum pesticides on a wide area, like land, I would only use like DEET or something like that on myself to keep the mosquitoes off, or the ticks or the chiggers, or something like that. Jared says, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I've tried cooking quail 3 different ways and they always turn out very tough. Could it be that they're year-old quail? Could be. Probably has more to do with, like I talked about a few minutes ago, resting the meat until after rigor mortis has left. Even the quail need that. It usually takes maybe 2 days, something like that. And that will help. Now, you got to realize quail is very lean. So it is going to be a little bit dry. You probably need to add some kind of fat to them, whether that's, butter, oil, bacon, something like that to help with that. And that will add a little bit. That I won't necessarily tenderize it that much, but it will help with the dryness, which sometimes can be interpreted as toughness. All right. Mr. Macias says, after a long time, again on the channel. Well, thank you. Good to see you. We've got a couple of people say they haven't been here in a while and came back tonight. Always good to see you guys. Doug says, what rabbits do you have nowadays? I don't have any right at the moment. I'm looking for new breeders, and I've been looking for a while, but it's summertime, so I'm not going to be breeding until fall anyway, so it's not like huge rush, but I've been looking for a while. I got a lead on some good silver fox pedigree rabbits that hopefully I can get worked out here sometime soon, but don't have any right at the moment. Regenerative Life says, when can I start feeding my quail some mealworms? I would wait until they're 5-6 weeks old, somewhere right around in there. The thing that you want to stay away from feeding them mealworms when they're young is because quail toes look a lot like mealworms, and you start feeding them mealworms too young, they start going after each other's feet. In fact, they'll kind of do that anyway on their own, but especially if you start feeding them quail worms too early. So I'd give them till they're about 5-6 weeks old, something like that. B-Tech Wind Solar says I use a pellet gun in the back of the skull, and I don't get any. And I don't get any. I don't know what. You don't get any what? Oh, don't get any rigor mortis? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, the rigor mortis is I mean, once an animal dies, it's going to go into rigor mortis. Now, it's how soon it goes into rigor mortis is the question. It takes a little while for that to set in. And if you cook it right, I mean, if you process a rabbit and put it right in the pot to cook, yeah, you can avoid that. You can do that before rigor mortis sets in, but it's going to happen. It doesn't matter how you processed. Once the animal dies, rigor mortis is going to set in, and it's going to last for 24, 48, in rabbits, usually it's 2-3 days. Sage Wolf says, thanks for the recommendation on stopping bleeding. I thought it was weird that the box said birds on it. Yeah, I guess you can't trust it. I don't know why. That is weird. Chris Roach says, Jared Homer, do you let them set? And if you do you let them flop when butchering, or do you hold them still? I have butchered and hold mine still to keep from overworking. Yeah, that could have something to do with it. Jared says, I let them rest for at least 2 days. I hold them in my hand while bleeding out, so it's not flop. Well, sounds like you're doing the right things. Yeah, borax is another thing you can't. Thank you, borax. Boric acid or even borax, I think, would work for ant. Yeah, I'm getting it all mixed up. Thank you guys. I knew you guys would help me out with that. I believe borax can be used for an ant killer. Let me look that up and make sure I'm not just remembering it wrong. Borax, yeah, borax ant killer. That is the one thing. Boric acid is a common thing, but you can use borax mix equal parts. Well, this mix says a half cup of sugar to 1.5 tablespoons of borax and 1.5 C. Is that cups of warm water? That seems like an awful lot of water. But anyway, you get the idea. Mix some borax in with some sugar. The sugar is the attractant that gets them to come and get it. The borax is what gets them. The water just makes it like a paste. So it mixes together and clings together. So they're not just grabbing a sugar particle. They're getting all of it together. So B Tech Wind Solar says dispatching with pellet gun is very humane and instant. And then I think there was something else to that. But yeah, it's not bad. I just feel like I've always done a little, I don't feel like it's quite as quick as, cervical dislocate. I always have a hard time with that word, dislocation, breaking their neck, basically. It always seems like it's a little bit quicker, but maybe it's just my imagination. I don't know. Mike B says, oh, sorry, you were talking about killing ants, not mice. LOL. Yeah. Did you say something? Did I lose track? Okay. Now I'm with you. That was that broad spectrum pesticide thing I was talking about, right? That I didn't know what it was. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about killing ants, not mice. Yeah. For mice, I usually use traps. I have gone with poison before because, you get just overwhelmed with them sometimes, and I've had to resort to that. I've tried making those, like you see those traps online that people have made, and they advertise like, oh, look how great this works, like a bucket basically with a ramp, and a tin can with a rod through it that sits in the middle and has peanut butter on it. They walk out to that, on the can, it spins, they fall in the water at the bottom of the bucket. It didn't work at all. I didn't catch any mice on that. But anyway, maybe somebody else has had better luck with it. I don't know. Katrina says, you've been saying it's not a huge rush for most of the year time to get some bunnies. Yeah, you're right. I do need to get over it and get some. It's just been so hard. Like I just don't ever have time, it seems like, to make a weekend trip somewhere. And they're all, an hour and a half drive, 2-hour drive from me. So it's just tough. Like this weekend, Saturday, I'm going to go fix my mother-in-law's car. Her alternator went out, and her alternator went out. It's a 2009 Pontiac Vibe. There we go. 2009 Pontiac Vibe. The shop wanted to charge her $600 to change the alternator. So I said, don't pay that. I'll come and change it this weekend. So that's what I got to do this weekend. So that's going to tie me up most of the day Saturday, and that only leaves me with Sunday to get my chores done around the house. So that's this weekend gone. Scrap 500 just got here. Well, it's okay. Well, maybe not okay. Maybe you wanted to be here earlier, but I'm not upset about it. It's all right. Joey says, have you ever tried lechon rabbit roasted on charcoal and continuously rotated? I have not. That is a new thing to me. No, I'm not familiar with that. So, no, I haven't tried it. Maybe it's good. I don't know. S. McKee says, I have 68 quiche in the oven right now, almost done. Hopefully we're not making too much. Wait, is that quiche that you can't make too much noise because it'll fall? Is that right? Is that quiche? Maybe I'm getting that wrong. But good luck. I hope it works out well. I haven't had quiche in a very, very long time. But in fact, I don't even know how to make quiche. I may have to look into it. Mike says rotisserie rabbit sounds good. Yeah, it does. I know rotisserie chicken is good. Oh, souffle. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. You're right. Souffle. Tells you those are all French, right? Quiche and souffle are all French. I'm not big on French food, really. I'm kind of more of a, Southern boy, I guess, like biscuits and gravy. And, I don't know. Some things I can cook well, but anyway, you get the idea. So, yeah, I think rotisserie chicken on the grill is really good. It's a great way to cook them. I just stuff some butter up underneath the skin, the chicken, not rabbit, of course. I don't leave the skin on a rabbit. But stuff some butter up underneath the skin, season it really well with whatever you like. I've been doing Cavender's, works pretty well. Usually throw a little bit of butter in the cavity as well, and then just let that go on the rotisserie till it's done, about 350, 100, about an hour or hour and a half, depending on the size of the bird. SB says pie dough, eggs, and whatever veggie and meat you want is how you make quiche. My dad was a really good cook, and I remember him making quiche a couple of times, but yeah, I never have. Terry McCrane says, Chris, what kind of thermostat to control your brooder heat? My brooder heat, well, what I'm using in the brooder right now, and you don't have to go this complex. The brooder is not it's not like an incubator where it has to be very, very precise. Watch your birds. You can just, if you don't want to buy something to control the heat on your brooder box, then just, set the light on there, watch your birds. If they're all crowded up under the heat source, it's a little too cold. You need to move the light a little closer. If they're all spread out away from the light as far as they can get, it's a little too warm. You need to move it a little bit warm. If they're all just kind of walking around, you've got it just right. And that you can judge that. I typically use a what's the name? Inkbird. I use an Inkbird Wi-Fi. I can't remember the model number, but it's a temperature controller. It's not made for like brooder boxes or anything. It's made for like refrigeration units or something like that. But you can set the temperature on it, plug your heat lights into it. It's got a little temperature probe, and it'll shut off and kick on. Now the bad thing, it probably runs through your heat bulbs a little bit faster because it's shutting them off, turning them on, shutting them off, turning them on. But it does control the temperature within a couple of degrees. So it makes it pretty easy that way too. And they're not stupid expensive. Let's see. Bird Wi-Fi thermostat. Maybe it's an ITC 308. Let me look that up and see. Hang on. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. The Inkbird Wi-Fi ITC 308. I think it's in they're like $35, maybe $40 on Amazon. Let me see if it's in my Amazon store. I don't remember if I put it in there or not. Let me double check. Most of those things I do put in there, but I don't remember if it's in there or not. Well, my shop is looking kind of lean. Like there's not as much stuff in there as there should. Yeah, there it is. It's on my Amazon shop. So if you need it, here, I'll give you a link to it if you want to see which one it is. This is, actually, I don't know. Here, I'll just give you a link to my Amazon shop. You can look in there. You can see it if you want to. If you want to buy it, you can. I earn a little bit of commission if you buy from that. Don't feel obligated, but if you want to, you can buy from that. I'll earn a little commission off the sale. Chris Roach says, my family love chicken fried rabbit in gravy sauce over a bed of rice with a side of cornbread. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So, yeah, who wouldn't like that? Sandra says quiche is just a ham and egg pie. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, I suppose. Spirit Mouse says, what's your preferred way to eat it? I like to eat it with a fork, or sometimes with my hands. That's not what you're asking, though, is it? Boy, any way you want to cook chicken, that works pretty well with rabbit. I think it does best braised, slow cooked, like with liquid, with some kind of moisture in there because it can dry out there's no fat on it really. It needs a lot of seasoning. So if I'm cooking it like a chicken, most of the time I'm putting chicken stock in with the rabbit. It does really well, like in those bag in seasonings. It keeps the moisture inside. It does really well on that. Pressure cooked, with some vegetables, like you would roast a chicken. I like it that way quite a bit. The one way I don't eat it really is very often anyway is fried. I don't think it does very well fried because it is so lean. It tends to kind of get a little bit tough when you fry it. But that's just my opinion. Joey says adobo rabbit would be very good for you to try. Rabbit Filipino style. Yeah, I'll have to look that up and see. That does sound good. S. McKee says mine had pork sausage in it. Probably your quiche. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? Mike B says, I found a lumber mill near me that sells the ends from when they square off a log. Pieces are 14-foot long, 6 inches thick, and the best part, for $10, they give you 1,000 pounds. For $10, they give you 1,000 pounds of 14-foot long, thick, 6-inch thick logs. Are probably a little bit irregular, but still, that sounds like a great deal. I'm jealous. Scrap 5000 says, I have a buddy from Jamaica. He tells me that after butchering rabbits, he loves to scald them in hot water to get the hair to fall off, and then he roasts them like you would roast a pig on a spit. I've heard of that before. Says turns the skin to crackling. Sounds a little weird to me, but I've heard of it before. Other people have done it. It's a pretty common thing, so maybe there's something to it. I just don't know. I don't know that I'm going to try that one. I think I'm just going to skin them like I've always done. How are we doing on time? We got about 5 minutes left here. We'll see if another chat or two come through before we wrap this one up. My wife is cooking dinner tonight, so I've got dinner waiting on me as soon as this is over. Looks like everybody's kind of, maybe we should just wrap it up because I'm not getting any more chats coming in. Everything's slowed down. I think we've been pretty busy. We've been going pretty full steam, so maybe everybody's done here. Mike says $10 for $10 for 1,000 pounds. I was thrilled. Apparently, a lot of mills do stuff like this. If you call and ask them, it's worth a call. I'll have to check. I don't know if we have any lumber mills near us. It's not a big lumber producing part of the country. Katrina's, thanks for the chat. Good chat, everyone. Yeah, you too. Well, you're welcome for the chat, but thanks for contributing. It's always good to talk to you guys. 4:30 a.m. comes early. Yeah, I'm up at 5, so I'm usually up by 4:30. So I understand. Yeah, it does come early. All right, guys, we'll wrap this one up. I think everybody's done. So thanks for joining. Always a pleasure speaking with you guys. Always like to hang out. I don't see any reason. There's a chance. There is a chance next Thursday I may not be able to make it. We've got a client in town, so I may be wrapped up with work next Thursday. I don't know yet. I'll just try to post in the community if it, when I find out for sure if I can't make it. But I think I'll still be able to make it. We'll just have to see. But other than that, I hope to see you guys on the next live broadcast, whether it's next week or the week after. As always, I'm not good about leaving answering comments right now, but you can always leave comments on the videos because I do read them a lot of the times. Most of the time I read them. And a lot of the times I'll get ideas for video topics and get it addressed in a video topic from the comments that are coming up on the videos. So anyway, all right. With all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. Good to talk to you guys tonight. Thanks for joining me. And we will see you guys on the next one. As always, take care and God bless.